From translation, ISV International Standard Version, this 127th day of the year, today we are reading passages 1 Chronicles 18-21, 1 Chronicles chapter 18, verses 1 to 17. Sometime later, David attacked and defeated the Philistines, and he subdued them, taking control of Gath and its surrounding towns from the Philistines. He also defeated Moab, making the Moabites lie down on the ground and measuring them off with a rope. He measured 2 lengths to be put to death and 1 length to be spared alive. The Moabites became David's subjects and paid tribute. David also defeated Hadadezer king of Zobah as far as Hamath, as he went to establish his authority at the Euphrates River. David captured 17,000 chariots and 7,000 horsemen from him, and he hamstrung all the chariot horses, except for 100 chariots. When the Arameans of Damascus came to help Hadadezer king of Zobah, David killed 22,000 Arameans. Then David stationed garrisons in Aram of Damascus, and the Arameans became David's subjects and brought tribute. The Lord gave David victory wherever he went. David took the gold shields carried by Hadadezer's officers and brought them to Jerusalem. From Betah and from Berotai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took a great amount of bronze. When King Toi of Hamath heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to King David to greet him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and had defeated him. Hadadezer had been at war with Toi. Joram brought with him various articles made of silver, gold, and bronze. These were also dedicated to the Lord, along with the silver and gold that David had dedicated from all the nations he had subdued. From Edom, Amalek, the Arameans of Zobah, and the Philistines, and from Ammon and Moab. David made a name for himself when he returned from killing 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. David reigned over all Israel, doing what was just and right for all his people. Joab son of Zeruiah was over the army. Jehoshaphat son of Ahilud was the court recorder. Zadok son of Ahitub and Ahimelech son of Abiathar were the priests. Shavsha was the court secretary. Benaiah son of Jehudah was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief officials at the king's side. 1 Chronicles chapter 19, verses 1 to 19. After this, Nahash king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanun became king in his place. David said, "I will show kindness to Hanun son of Nahash, because his father showed kindness to me." So David sent his servants to express his sympathy to him regarding his father. But when David's servants arrived in the land of the Ammonites, the Ammonite nobles said to Hanun, "Do you think that David is honoring your father by sending you comforters? Haven't his servants come to you to spy out the land and overthrow it?" So Hanun seized David's servants, shaved off half of each man's beard, cut off their garments at the buttocks, and sent them away. Someone went and told David what had happened to the men, and he sent messengers to meet them, because the men were humiliated. The king said, "Stay at Jericho until your beards have grown, and then return." When the Ammonites realized that they had become a stench to David, Hanun and the Ammonites sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire chariots and horsemen from Mesopotamia, from Aram-Maacah, and from Zobah. They hired 32,000 chariots and 7,000 horsemen, along with the king of Maacah and his troops. When they came and camped in front of Medeba, the Ammonites mustered the people from their cities and came out to battle. When David heard about this, he sent Joab with the entire army of warriors. The Ammonites came out and drew up their battle lines at the entrance to the city, while the kings who had come remained in their separate positions in the open country. When Joab saw that the battle lines were drawn against him in front and behind, he selected some of the best men in Israel and deployed them against the Arameans. He placed the rest of the army under the command of his brother Abishai, and they were deployed against the Ammonites. Joab said, "If the Arameans are too strong for me, then you will help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will help you. Be courageous, and let's show ourselves strong for the sake of our people and the cities of our God. May the Lord do what is good in his sight." So Joab and his troops advanced toward the battle lines to fight the Arameans, and they fled before him. When the Ammonites saw that the Arameans had fled, they fled before Abishai his brother and entered the city. Then Joab returned to Jerusalem. When the Arameans saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they sent messengers and hired Arameans from beyond the Euphrates River, with Shophach, the commander of Hadadezer's army, at their head. David was told of this, and he gathered all Israel, crossed the Jordan River, and went to them. He deployed his troops to fight them, and he himself fought the battle. The Arameans fled before Israel, and David killed 7,000 charioteers and 40,000 foot soldiers. He also killed Shophach, the commander of the army. When the servants of Hadadezer saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with David and became his subjects. The Arameans were unwilling to help the Ammonites anymore. 1 Chronicles chapter 20, verses 1 to 8. In the spring, at the time when kings go out to battle, Joab led out the army and ravaged the land of the Ammonites. He went and besieged Rabbah. But David remained in Jerusalem. Joab attacked Rabbah and tore it down. David took the crown from the head of their king. It was found to weigh a talent of gold, and it had precious stones in it. David placed it on his own head. He also carried off a great amount of plunder from the city. He brought out the people who were in it and made them work with saws, iron picks, and axes. David did this to all the Ammonite cities. Then David and all the troops returned to Jerusalem. After this, war broke out at Jezer with the Philistines. At that time Sibbecai the Hushathite killed Sippai, one of the descendants of the Rephaites, and the Philistines were subdued. In another battle with the Philistines, Elhanan son of Jair killed Lahmi, the brother of Goliath the Gittite, who had a spear shaft like a weaver's rod. There was another battle at Gath, where there was a very tall man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. He was also a descendant of the Rephaites. When he taunted Israel, Jonathan son of Shimeah, David's brother, killed him. These were descendants of the Rephaites in Gath, and they were killed by David and his servants. 1 Chronicles chapter 21, verses 1 to 25. Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. So David said to Joab and the commanders of the army, "Go and take a census of all the people from Beersheba to Dan, and bring back a report to me that I may know how many there are." But Joab replied, "May the Lord multiply his troops 100 times over. My lord the king, are they not all your servants? Why does my lord want to do this? Why should he bring guilt on Israel?" Nevertheless, the king's word prevailed against Joab. So Joab left and went throughout all Israel, and then came back to Jerusalem. Joab reported to the king the number of people who were registered. In Israel there were 1,100,000 men who could handle a sword, and in Judah there were 470,000 who could handle a sword. But he did not include Levi and Benjamin in the count, because the king's command was repulsive to Joab. This was displeasing to God, so he punished Israel. Then David said to God, "I have sinned greatly by doing this. Now I beg you, take away the guilt of your servant, for I have done very foolishly." The Lord said to Gad, David's seer, "Go and tell David, this is what the Lord says. I am offering you 3 options, choose one of them for me to carry out against you." So Gad went to David and said to him, "This is what the Lord says. Take your choice, either 3 years of famine, or 3 months of being swept away before your foes while the sword of your enemies overtakes you. Or 3 days of the sword of the Lord, pestilence in the land, with the angel of the Lord ravaging throughout all the territory of Israel. Now then, think it over and decide what answer I should return to the one who sent me." David said to Gad, "I am in great distress. Let me fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercy is very great, but do not let me fall into the hands of men." So the Lord sent a plague on Israel, and 70,000 men of Israel fell dead. God sent an angel to destroy Jerusalem, but as he was about to destroy it, the Lord saw it and relented concerning the disaster. He said to the angel who was destroying Jerusalem, "Stop, that is enough." At that time the angel of the Lord was standing by the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. David looked up and saw the angel of the Lord standing between heaven and earth, with a drawn sword in his hand extended over Jerusalem. Then David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell with their faces to the ground. David said to God, "Was it not I who ordered the people to be counted? I am the one who has sinned and done wrong, but these sheep, what have they done? Lord my God, let your hand fall on me and my father's family, but not on your people, whom you have redeemed with your great power." Then the angel of the Lord ordered Gad to say to David, "David is to go up and build an altar to the Lord on the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite." So David went up, as the Lord had commanded through Gad. When Araunah looked and saw the king and his servants coming toward him, he went out and bowed down before the king with his face to the ground. Araunah said, "Why has my lord the king come to his servant?" David replied, "I have come to buy your threshing floor from you, to build an altar to the Lord, so that the plague may be held back from the people." Araunah said to David, "Let my lord the king take whatever he wants and offer it up. Here are oxen for the burnt offering, and you can use the threshing sledges and ox yokes for the wood." Araunah gave them all to the king. But the king said to Araunah, "No, I insist on buying it from you, for I will not offer to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing." So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. David built an altar there to the Lord and sacrificed burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. He called on the Lord, and the Lord answered with fire from heaven on the altar of burnt offering. Then the Lord answered prayer for the land, and the plague on Israel was stopped.